Greetings, everyone. Pete Pardo here from Sea of Tranquility. Welcome to another episode of What's Hot with Sea of Tranquility. It's Wednesday, new review day here on the channel. As always, today we're going to take a look at a very cool, surprisingly really good release that, when I first heard that this was being released, I was like, oh, cool. A new Cactus album. I'm always up for a new Cactus album. So I went, and a couple of people mentioned it in the comments, went and ordered it. Shows up. I'm like, oh, this looks kind of cool. It's called Temple of Blues, Influence and Friends. And then I went and started looking at the track listing. I'm like, wait a second. These are basically just remakes or reimaginings of old Cactus classics. And I was kind of disappointed because I wanted another new album. Because, they did a new album a few years ago, right? It's not like we haven't gotten new music from Cactus over the years. So I was like, all right. So I took, taking a deeper look. We got 15 tracks here. If you're a Cactus fan, you should be well familiar with all of the songs that are on here. Produced by Carmine Appice, co-produced by Pat Regan and Jim Stapley. And I was like, okay. Pat Regan, I've heard that name before, obviously. And Jim Stapley, I was like, I'm not really familiar with that dude. I'm like, okay, whatever. So then I opened it up and start to look at who plays on this. And it's not the Cactus Band, other than the fact that Carmine appears on the entire album on drums, as he should, but all sorts of big guest stars and friends of Carmine's. And basically what this was is, and again, this is Cleopatra Records, right? Let's, before we start doing all that, let me show you what everything looks like on the inside. Okay. Pretty good looking set here, right? Oh, 3-panel digipack. All right. Lyrics to the songs, who plays on what. So basically this was more meant to be, and again, to get back to the Cleopatra thing, how many times have we seen these kind of like tribute albums on Cleopatra Records? So really this is more a tribute to Cactus than an actual Cactus album. So I was kind of duped here. I think many of you probably were. Cleopatra loves to do this. They put out all these releases that have like an assembling of all these people as meant to be a tribute to a, legendary band. This is really no different. So, but the results here are pretty damn good. Is this going to replace like the original classic Cactus recordings that we all know and love? Certainly not. But is it pretty fun on its own? Yeah, it kind of is, right? Because I just love these songs, and I like a lot of the people on here, right? So Parchment Farm kicks it off. I'm going to tell you who plays on every track here. Billy Sheehan on bass, Jim McCarty, rhythm and guitar fills, Joe Bonamassa, guitar solos, Jim Stapley, vocals and harp, and Carmine Appice, drums and backing vocals. It's really good. It's really good. I tell you, Jim McCarty, even though he's not a full-time member of Cactus anymore, right? He kind of stepped aside because he can't do the live stuff anymore. He's getting older. He still can play his ass off. And Bonamassa slots right in here. This is totally kind of in his wheelhouse, right? So that's great. But here's the thing. This guy, Jim Stapley, never heard of him before. I went and looked him up. He's kind of like this British-born, kind of Brit-U.S. singer, songwriter, guitar player, and producer. Man, has he got a voice. Because first, before I started looking at all this, I'm hearing the voice, and I'm like, that kind of doesn't sound like Jimmy Coons. Because Jimmy Coons has been the singer of Cactus now for like 20 years. Is he no longer in the band anymore? You go onto the Wikipedia page, he's still listed there. Jim Stapley's not listed anywhere. But then if you go ahead halfway through the track listing or whatever, You Can't Judge a Book by the Cover is on here, which is, of course, their version of an old Willie Dixon track. And it says here, The Cactus Band, and comprised of Jim Stapley, vocals and harp, James Caputo on bass, Artie Dillon on guitars, and Carmine Appice, drums and backing vocals. So I'm guessing that is the new lineup of Cactus, because I know like Artie took over for Jim. So is this the new lineup? So and I'm talking Jim McCarty, is Jim Stapley the new vocalist and singer for and harmonica player for Cactus? I guess so. I will tell you, as much as I love Jimmy Coons, because I've seen Cactus many times with him, and I've met Jimmy Coons a bunch of times. Totally nice guy. This Jim Stapley guy is a terrific singer, and if Jimmy had stepped aside and he's coming in here, too many Jims in this band. I'm okay with it because Jim is a great singer. Anyway, let's get on with the rest of the album. Brother Bill has got Bob Daisley on bass, Randy Jackson on guitars from Zebra, Randy Pratt on harp. He's been on and off with Cactus for many, many years. Jim Stapley vocals and Carmine. Really good version there. Guiltless Glider. It's got Ron Bumblefoot Thal on guitars, Phil Sasan on bass, Jim Stapley on vocals. Carmine's on drums the whole thing. I'm not going to keep mentioning Carmine's name. And I won't mention Jim anymore unless someone else is singing the song. However, at the back end of the album, you have another version of that with basically a different singer. So instead of Jim on vocals, you got Tim Ripper Owens on vocals. Let me tell you something. I don't think I've ever heard Ripper singing this type of kind of heavy blues rock before. Man, he sounds great. If all you're used to hearing is Tim singing the heavy metal stuff, right, the shrieking stuff, he doesn't do any of that here. He sounds right at home on this. Dynamite. Evil has Jim McCarty on all guitars, Doug Pinnick from King's X on bass, Dee Snider on vocals from Twisted Sister. That's really good, really heavy. If I didn't look at the credits, I would have never guessed that was Dee Snider. Again, just totally adapted to this style of music. Awesome. One Way or Another, probably my favorite Cactus song. Ted Nugent on lead guitars, Doug Pinnick bass and lead vocals, Jim Stapley on rhythm guitars, and of course Carmine, sensational. Great wah-wah soloing from Ted on that, really good. Alaska, Tony Franklin on bass, Johnny A guitars, that's pretty good. No Need to Worry, slow blues, Warren Haynes guitars and lead vocals, Jorgen Carlson bass guitar, Carmine on drums. And again, I don't know when any of this stuff was recorded. There's no indication anywhere in the credits of when they went into the studio to do these tracks, or was this all done, via file sharing. I don't know. There's no dates anywhere. So for all I know, some of this stuff could have been laying around for years. I have no idea. No idea. Where did I leave off? Oleo, another one of the highlights here. Billy Sheehan, bass and bass solo. Steve Stevens on guitars. Great. Big Mama Boogie Parts 1 through 2 has got Pat Travers on slide guitars, James Caputo on bass, Jim on acoustic guitars, harp and vocals. I already mentioned you can't judge a book by the cover. That's terrific. I guess that's from the current Cactus band, or at least the current Cactus band for this album. I don't know. Rock and Roll Children is great on here. Rudy Sarzo on bass, Britt Lightning on guitars, Vernon Reed guitar solo from Living Color. Terrific. Another one of my favorite tracks on here is Let Me Swim, which is a great hard rocking song from the original Cactus band. This has got molten guitar from Doug Aldrich. Of course, Doug from Dio's band and Whitesnake and lots of other different projects. Dead Daisies, right? He's amazing on here. Marco Mendoza on bass, Jim and Carmine, vocals and drums. Then you got Restrictions, which has Ty Tabor on guitars from King's X, Phil Sasan on bass, Jim and Carmine. And then another one of my favorites on here, Long Tall Sally, which of course is a cover, but they did it so well. And here we got Fernando Perdomo on guitars, big fuzzy riffy guitars. Man, he's sizzling on here. Mark Stein, of course, Carmine's mate in Vanilla Fudge on lead vocals, Kenny Aronson on bass, and then Carmine, of course. So in saying all this, right now that you know everything that's on here, is this a necessity for anybody? If you're a Cactus fan, I'm not going to lie and say you need to absolutely go out and get this and hear this. But as a great way for Carmine and all his buddies to go in and play pretty, up-tempo and rockin' versions of Cactus classics, it's fun. I mean, I can't not rate this pretty highly because it is enjoyable. After I got over the kind of disappointment, this is basically just a tribute album, not a brand new Cactus album, and it's listed as a Cactus album, right? It's listed as a Cactus album. Is it really? Not really, but that's okay. I can't not give this a 4 out of 5 star because these songs are great. They're done with lots of energy and lots of love, and I'm sure everybody who participated in this had a blast doing it. And Carmine sounds amazing on here. He's thundering away through the whole thing. So yeah, do with it what you will. There are people who might just avoid this at all costs. There are other people who are, would it have been nice to have a couple new Cactus songs on here? Yeah, that would have made it superb. But there's tons of great guitar playing on here by all sorts of special players, and and get it for the vocals alone because he's a great singer. I'm really intrigued now to hear potentially new music from based on what's here, the new version of Cactus. So we'll see. So go check it out if you like. Temple of Blues, Influences and Friends from Carmine, Cactus, and Friends. And visit us on the web at www.seatranquility.org. We're on Facebook, we're on YouTube, all together, all the damn time. Please subscribe if you haven't already, and click on that notification bell so you get alert of all of our content as it posts. And please do hit the like button before you leave. Also, down below, we got the links to our Ko-Fi page for channel donations, our merch page, and our Cameo page. Thank you in advance for all your support there. And we'll see you soon here with more stuff. I'm Pete Pardo. Thanks for watching, everybody. Have a good one. Bye-bye.